everybody. I gotta start this off, and I'm gonna actually be disciplined this time, and start off the right way by saying like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat because this video is definitely getting demonetized. This video's not. This video's getting demonetized. Ain't shit coming out of this one because we're gonna talk about Jay-Z, capitalism. I'm not gonna really go in on Jay like that, to tell y'all the truth. I'm not one of those people that go in on black people for doing what white people do, um, unless they're really heinous. But yeah, no. Let's talk about what Jay said, and let's start off by saying this: Jay-Z just is saying some of the quiet part out loud when it comes to black entertainers, and what they probably think and say. I think what we're really seeing from Jay-Z is the limitations of his knowledge of when people say eat the rich, and when pause. Not only like, share, and subscribe, but if you haven't, I'll still be here. Click the link in my description if you don't know what I'm speaking about, so that you can have an understanding. Jay-Z did like this Twitter or social media interview with Ari Fleisch, the white Jewish dude from MSNBC, and he was speaking about capitalism and how capitalism is the new N-word, and it's a slur. Well, he said it's a slur. He didn't say N-word, from what I heard, but it's a slur, or calling him a capitalist is a slur. He said, he doesn't really understand this concept of eat the rich. He did make some good points. I mean, if we're gonna be honest, if Jay does make a good point, and I do agree with him to a certain extent, that for people like him in particular, there are white people or non-black people that are using this, calling him a capitalist because he is a black person exhibiting the same type of business acumen as a white person, as a white capitalist, right? He is right about that. Probably, I wouldn't know because I'm not a billionaire. But to think someone calling you a capitalist as a pejorative is some new thing. You haven't opened a history book that has anything to do with the world over the past 300 years. I mean, Karl Marx then was literally doing this shit like 200 years ago, right? Like 160 years ago, right? Like, and that speaks to the limitations of like your knowledge. Even though you're a billionaire, you're worth what, 1.3 billion dollars or something like that. Your wife is worth however hundreds of millions, probably about to scrape a billion herself, if not at a billion yet, right? And like he said in one of his own songs, like, look, three billionaires done popped out of him, right? Like him, Kanye, and Rihanna. And he spoke about, all the great things he's done for different artists, and even bailing out, and he didn't speak about it in this interview. I'm just saying, like, bailing out some of the people that got arrested with Ferguson, and helping Meek Mills out, and just all different things that Jay-Z has done for other artists. And so when he thinks about, probably when Jay-Z thinks about exploitation and these different things, it's not him necessarily that we're speaking about, but Jay has to understand that he is part of that class now. So we're not necessarily, at least not in this space, at least Mr. Z isn't necessarily talking about you, Jay, although you have done some shiesty shit, right? We're not necessarily speaking about you, right? But Jay being part of that capitalist class, right, where he can literally, him and Beyonce can literally stop today, not do a single thing, and let their money run, right? And because other people will be doing things, his wealth will build. That is literally capitalism. That is literally the goal in this, right? So you can sit on your ass and other people will make money for you, or other people's work or labor will produce, and then your wealth will increase, right? Jay is in that position, right? So knowledgeable about what these particular people that are calling him a capitalist are saying, right? Jay, like, You brag about all the nice shit you got, bro. Like do you understand? Like you talk about yachts, you talk about private jets, you talk about owning the net. Like when you did own the net, like you talk about these things, and then you don't realize why people are calling you a capitalist as a pejorative player. Like you're the wordsmith. You're the nigga that raps without writing. That's you, Jay. Like all of us under the age of 40 like grew up on Jay. Shit, 45 grew up on Jay-Z. Shit, 50 grew up. You either grew up on Jay-Z or grew up with Jay-Z. Xers and millennials. Xers and millennials either grew up with Jay-Z or they grew up on Jay-Z. We got people in this space that can recite every freaking word you've ever said on a song. Period. We know, player. I don't know who you think you're talking to. You ain't talking to white people. And by the way, yes, there are some white people that are calling you capitalist as a pejorative, but it's mainly black people. Like, this is the one thing you can't. He can bring race into it a little bit because once again, there are some white people saying it, but it's mainly black people, Jay. Right? And I think the sad part about this is, once again, like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat because this is definitely getting demonetized. But once again, I think Jay is just woefully ignorant to like what people are saying, right? Or what capitalist means. And like, I will remind y'all, if y'all don't remember, during Occupy Wall Street, when Jay-Z had the whole Occupy All Streets campaign, and it was Russell Simmons, older than him, been making money longer than him, was more, well, at one point, obviously, was more famous than him. And Russell Simmons had to talk to Jay and pretty much tell him, bro, you don't get what the kids are saying and doing. Like, the way how even with how difficult it was for us to make money and to get to this position, it's even more difficult for the young people. There's even more obstacles in their way, like legitimately and even illegitimate, like even on illicit terms. And I remember this because I remember thinking to myself exactly what I told y'all. But Russell Simmons been making money longer. He been out of the game longer, or at least the struggle game is what I'm saying. And for him to have to explain to Jay-Z the struggle, that's insane to me. Am I the only one that feels that? It's insane to me. But that speaks to something, right? Like, Jay is a billionaire and he's very aspirational. We gotta give Jay-Z his flowers for what he's been able to bring to the game, right? And how he's capitalized on his talents, right? This dude is like about to scrape 60 and he's still rapping and he's still relevant, right? So we have to give him his flowers. But Jay, being ignorant about certain things, and then they keep on putting microphones in these people's faces because they're wealthy and they're famous. And then Jay thinks like he's some type of godsend because, you know, like his birth coincides with the death of Fred Hampton. And then he references Fred Hampton all the time. Fred Hampton was not a capitalist, Jay-Z. Fred Hampton was talking about beating niggas like you with newspapers to death. I'm not joking. Fred Hampton was not a capitalist. Now, for those of you that know Mr. Z, y'all know I'm not super capitalist, but I'm not, once again, I said Mr. Z, Jay-Z, I'm mixing up my name with Jay-Z name, my bad, y'all. But yeah, I'm not a hyper-capitalist, but today we're not railing against capitalism per se, and we're not railing against Jay-Z. What I really want us to focus on is, like Malcolm said, essentially having these people be our de facto leaders. And what Jay-Z said shows why what Malcolm said was so paramount, right? Because it's as ignorant as what Jay-Z said is, it really speaks to something because he thought he was saying something. Bruh, eat the rich is a term that's like 300 years old type shit. And excuse me, we are using profanity tonight. So for you to say what you said just speaks to like you not knowing what's going on. By centuries, by the way. It's not a term that's just only like a decade old or something. No, this is a term that's like I said, a few centuries old. Right? And then the term capitalist, like, you know, maybe, okay, we can't say Jay-Z doesn't have his ears to the streets, because I think he does. That's why he said what he said. He clearly has his ears to the streets to a certain extent. But Jay, the term capitalist and a pejorative is centuries old. Number one, capitalism is centuries old, and then using it as a pejorative for the uber wealthy is centuries old. You capitalist, Jay. You may not be the most exploitative, or the person that's exploited the most. That's what I'm trying to say. Out of the capitalists, yes, you aren't maybe Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. You don't got people peeing in bottles, right? With that though, Jay, you are a capitalist. And like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, I guess, right? I'm not, once again, I'm not going in on Jay. I have a problem with the ignorance in what he said, right? They're just like, you don't really, for you to have been rich and wealthy for this long now and not understand what's going on to the point where you're in 2022 now. Jay been making real money since the mid 90s, y'all. Jay's been, we're not even talking about his street shit. We're not going there yet. We're not even going to him and Dame's investment capital into Rockefeller. We're not even going to go to the street money. We're not even going to talk about that. We're talking about the legit money Jay-Z's been making since the mid 90s, at least, right? And for you to now be talking about how capitalist is a pejorative term, what? The ignorance. I mean, like, bro, Jay, your wife performed for the former president, bro. Jay, you've rubbed elbows with like damn near every celebrity. Jay-Z, Sean Carter. You were rubbing elbows with the former president. And you just now talking about capitalism this way? This is why I'm careful about, like Malcolm said, like this celebrity leadership thing and this celebrity worship that some of us are on, right? Like, and then hip hop, like I'm a rap fan. I'm a hip hop fan. I'm not as stomped down as some of the other brothers in the space. Facts, true. But I'm a hip hop fan. Rap sells a whole lot of materialism and consumerism and, you know, just positivity and partying and all. Hey, I'm listening to rap and hip hop. I'm not gonna stop. It's not gonna deter me. But if we're gonna call a thing, much of the defense that I saw with Jay-Z with the 444 album and the ridiculousness he said, some of the shit he said on there, when he was going at Boosie and the rest of the Southern niggas for the money phone, what he's saying now is I'm seeing working class people, working poor people that are very aspirational defending Jay because they need that hope. And Mr. Z is not going to defecate on your hope tonight. I'm not. What I am going to say is don't let these people's wealth through their talent and through their shrewd business deals and through who they're connected to get you messed up, right? Jay just showed you the limits of his knowledge. You could agree with him on the capitalist point, but the fact that he said it like number one, like capitalist being a slur or a pejorative is something new. And then the fact that he said eat the rich is something new. Like, once again, it's a term out of Europe and even America that's centuries old. This speaks to something, right? And then the fact that he continuously referenced Fred Hampton with himself either not realizing or ignoring, which I think is more ignoring, the fact that Fred Hampton was a stomped down socialist. There's people that make the argument that he was a communist. I don't know, but at least a stomped down socialist. And you, Jay, are a capitalist. Whether begrudgingly or not, you are a capitalist. I'm not about taking Jay-Z's wealth or taking Beyonce's wealth. I'm not about that, right? Once again, we're not really going in on Jay-Z. We are speaking about the ignorance from which he speaks as a billionaire who's rubbed elbow with some of the most influential, powerful, and famous people on the planet. Right? This man got yachts, a yacht more expensive than just about anybody in the Black Manosphere's home. Right? This man's wife is gifting him $2 million Bugattis. Right? I think he has one of those uber rare Rolls Royces, right? That's borderline shaped like a boat. That's like $24 million. So Jay, I don't want to take away none of that from you. Mr. Z is not one of these, like, you know, take the riches or the wealth from these people. I'm not putting Jay-Z in the exact same class as Bill Gates and them, because he acquired his wealth a little differently. You know that that's not where I'm going with it, but he is part of that class. He is part of that class, though. Right? And for those of us that got some hip hop history, we know some of the shiesty shit. We heard that interview from the brother that said, hey, Jay said, I'm gonna make it real hard for you. Right? We seen it. We know what the game said about Jay when the game met Jay-Z. He was like, man, I'm a big fan. I want to be just like, what do I have to be on your level? And Jay-Z pretty much told the game, stay out my way. Right? We done seen the interviews with Cameron where Cameron tell you what Jay-Z really like behind the scenes. Right? We've seen it. We know. Right? Maybe Jay's not shrewd level, like Diddy level shrewd when it comes to business and being a vampire to his artists. Maybe he's not Diddy level shrewd, but he's still shrewd. That's cool. You're from New York. Shout out to all you New York niggas. That's why I'll be looking at y'all sideways when it comes to a lot of shit, because I don't think of any revolution. I'm gonna say some fucked up shit right now. I'm about to piss off like all the Northeast. I'm sorry. I know no revolutionary coming from y'all, because white elitism painted black all over the place over there. I know. I go to New York often. Right? Even y'all New York niggas know I'm not telling y'all no lie right now. It ain't coming from, it might come from the West Coast, the Midwest, the South, but it's not coming from the Northeast. I'm sorry. Especially not from New York. But I'm not going to take away from Jay-Z's talent and his work ethic and what he's brought to the game. Once again, like we said, this man's about to scrape 60 and he's still relevant in the rap game. Right? And I listened to the verse God did that he did on DJ Khaled with Ross and Wayne, and it was a fire-ass verse. It was a long-ass verse, but it was a fire-ass verse. We can't take away from Jay-Z. We can't take away what he did bail out those people out of Ferguson, right? He has looked out for so many artists. We can't take that away from Jay-Z. But Jay, you are a capitalist, bro. And if the kids are calling you a capitalist and a pejorative, you got to eat that, because it's true. You are a capitalist. And stop using Fred Hampton's name in vain. Fred Hampton was stomped down socialist. And you see this often with people like Jay, like they link themselves and what they're doing to somebody that would have taken their head off. Right? Like, you revolutionized the rap game, Jay-Z, but you ain't no revolutionary player. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad at wealthy people that decide I'm gonna go down this road because my dream is to be uber wealthy and screw everything else. And I'll use my wealth to do what I want to do, whether I want to help out or not or whatever. I'm not mad about that. What Mr. Z does have an issue with is when you then try to use the name of someone from the past in vain, so that you can make it seem like to the public that you're like continuing this person's lineage or something, their legacy or something. No, you're not, Jay. Stop it. You're not. Stop it. And it's really insulting to Fred Hampton's name, actually. Actually, right? And that's my only thing. Like, once again, this is not about ripping Jay-Z to shreds, because Jay-Z is not Bill Gates level H-1B visa, so I could pay these foreigners cheaper than I would the American students with tech. He's not that, Let's not do that. Let's not put him on the same level as Jeff Bezos got people peeing in bottles and stuff, right? And shirking out the drivers with whatever tips people give them, and changing traffic lights, or changing traffic lights so that protesters don't get to protest in front of people at the red light. Jay-Z's not doing that, all right? I'm not putting Jay-Z in the same category as Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and them, and Mark Zuckerberg over here finagling with China so that he could get Facebook into China, and yeah, nah, right? And turning a blind eye to the algorithms and how they're radicalizing people on Facebook. Jay-Z's not doing that. Let's not put him there. But, player, Jay, Mr. Sean Carter, Beyonce's husband, the victim of Solange Knowles, right? Let's not pretend like you ain't a capitalist, because you are. And there's, once again, we live in a capitalist society, so hey, right? Your ignorance is the problem here, right? If Jay would have said, hey, bro, I am a capitalist, but look at what I've been able to do. I use my money to help free Meek, right? I use my money to help free the kids goddamn, I'm Ferguson. I'm sorry, y'all. I was slipped up a little bit, right? I've used my money to help other artists with their record deals. I've used my money to bail out these people. I've used my money to make phone calls. I've used my connections, right? You know, if Jay was saying that, that would be a different conversation. But for him to say eat the rich is like it's some new modern term, right? Or for him to say like these people are using capitalists in a pejorative, like it's the N-word. First, like I said earlier, for those of you that didn't hear, the people that are calling Jay a capitalist and a pejorative are mainly black people. It's not really the white kids, it's the black kids. And as a millennial, I can tell y'all, and for those of you, some of you have heard me say this before. You have to remember what a lot of millennials and Gen Z came into as young adults. Their parents losing homes, the dot-com bubble, the housing recession. Now you got the Gen Z coming of age during the COVID recession, damn near depression, inflation run amok. So when you hear young people under the age of 40, under the age of 45, maybe for some young Xers, but really under the age of 40, kind of railing against capitalism, you have to understand that for most of them, they haven't lived the upside. They have not lived the upside. Now, can they buy something off of Amazon and have it shipped to them in 2.3 seconds? Yeah, right? But the upside of, like, you know, some of what their grandparents got to live in that little window of, like, unionized jobs, and you make enough for to you know, put your kids through school and your wife don't have to work. These people, they're hearing their great-grandparents, if their great-grandparents are still alive, and some of their grandparents talk about this, but them kids ain't living that life. You're talking about children, young people, that's living the gig economy life. And so when Jay speaks, when he goes from, you know, it's not about Wall Street, it's about all streets. When he speaks like that, and then when he speaks about capitalism the way he does right now, it just speaks to like a level of ignorance, right? Whether he's a supporter of this current system or not, and of course he is, because he, you know, he's benefited greatly from this system, right? And the way he was speaking with the gusto and the arrogance, we ain't stopping. You could throw anything out. You got to come stronger than that. That's because you don't even know what's going on, Jay. You have your ears to the streets, but you don't even really know, like, on the political side, what's going on economically. And that's because you have like this 1.3 billion. That's your wealth. We're not even talking about your wife yet. If we add your wife, y'all damn near scraping $2 billion, right? Right? So we're not even including your wife yet. So because of that, maybe that's developed like this level of ignorance where you don't really know what's going on. And that's all I would say to Jay. Like, I'm not here to take your wealth away. I'm not even here to insult you, right? Like I said, Xers grew up with you. Millennials grew up on you, right? You've changed the game, right? You held New York down for decades, right? When Big died, you held New York down, right? You did marry what he said. I married the hottest chick in the game. Got the hottest chick in the game wearing my chain. You set things you set out to do. You've done them, right? You've done them, but you've also allowed yourself to be used to exploit and kind of hurt other people. Oops. Whenever people bring up the Nets Stadium situation, Jay-Z skedaddles. You let the Russian dude use your face to gentrify the neighborhood. I mean, isn't that some of the argument that come from some of the brothers like that? Like, hey, either I'm exploit y'all or somebody else is gonna exploit y'all. Any better if a black person exploits you than a white person? Exploitation is exploitation, bro. Isn't it better that I get you out of here than a white person? Don't you want to see me get wealthy instead of other white person get wealthy? Even though like we're both fucking you. Right? So I get it. And when some of you brothers hear me say the things I say on different panels, this is what I'm talking about. Jay is a legit billionaire. Not off of just music, but different other investments, right? Jay-Z, Sean Carter is a literal billionaire out of Marcy Projects, out of the hood of New York. Legit billionaire. But as you can see, there are glaring blind spots in his understanding of certain things. Even though he's living it. He's living it. It would have been different, like I said earlier, if he would have been like, yeah, I'm a capitalist, but look what I've been able to do. Look how I've been able to maneuver and help certain people and kind of make the presidency look cool with Barack and my wife is singing and for the president and at I'm able to help these different artists. I've hired some of the best. I helped 21 Savage. I helped hire the best immigration attorneys for him. I helped Meek, like I said. I helped the people in Ferguson. Jason, behind the scenes, Jason has done certain things. That wasn't the argument though. The argument went to his ego, right? We ain't gonna talk about how the NFL used you to pretty much tell Kaepernick to shut the hell up. Right? We ain't gonna talk about that. I'm gonna read y'all comments in a minute. I'm just trying to, kind of get some of these thoughts out because like I said, I'm not gonna rip Jay-Z apart, and I'm purposely doing that because I don't like the concept of being extra harsh on black people when they do some of the shiesty shit other non-black people do. I'm not about that, right? That you should have known better. Yeah, I'm gonna beat you upside the head because, I understand what the era Jay-Z comes out of, the environment Jay-Z comes out of, you get why he moved the way he moved. Especially my New York niggas, y'all know why Jay-Z moved the way he moves, why he talks the way he talks, especially for his age group. We get it. That's why I'm not going to rip him apart with that. But the level of ignorance for somebody worth this much, bro. Right? I get it, right? So let me read a couple of comments. I look down. Thank you for being here, BGS. And I read that comment from a bunch of places, BGS. BGS says, he knows who he is. He started selling poison to his people. It's true. I mean, it's true, right? It's true. It's true, right? What Harold George said, feels like Jay knows enough to know he's firmly in that class, but he's trying to shield himself with the streets and grassroots. Reminds me of Andrew Carnegie's philanthropy. Okay, thank you. Andrew Carnegie's philanthropy versus monopoly biz. Okay, you reminded me. I actually wanted to bring up philanthropy. Okay, I got to go down cynical road, you guys. I'm sorry, I got to be a little cynical. I mean, isn't that what they all do? Especially around tax time, isn't that what they all do? Like, hey, and that's like capitalist 101. Give me all the wealth. I'm gonna hoard this shit, exploit people, and then like I'm gonna New Jack City hand out turkeys during Thanksgiving, and there's my philanthropy, right? Like, I'm gonna I'm gonna hoard all this wealth, and then I'll donate $1 million here for that, and $2 million there for that, maybe $5 million for this, and boom, there you go. But make sure my taxes are as low as possible, please. Thank you very much. Right? Is it? Oh, perfect. The Sackler family. The Sackler family. For those of you that know, the pharmaceutical family, right? People leaning all over the place. They paying off doctors to just prescribe it to anybody for anything. Nigga got a hangnail in it stuck in his feet. Just prescribe this shit to anybody for anything. And then you got people all over the country, especially in the Midwest, leaning off of prescription drugs. And what does the Sackler family do to cover? They open art studios in the West Coast and the Northeast and buy positive publicity and PR, right? That is like philanthropy 101. You know what, let me donate this money to this art studio. Let me donate this money to this organization. Let me donate to that organization. Meanwhile, I'm pushing drugs all through the country, especially in the Midwest. Right? And so when you look at Jay-Z, once again, I'm not putting him on that level. Right? But Jay, you gotta be more knowledgeable about what's going on. Even if you're gonna do the shiesty shit. Because your answer here, and even with how the way you responded, when the white dude tried to throw you off, and I will admit, the white dude tried to throw him off with that interview question when they were speaking about Kaepernick, when he threw that question out there. But Jay's response to it either lets me know you weren't ready, and even with this, you weren't ready for those for this type of, you know, conversation or questioning. And it also lets me know your level of ignorance on the matter. And for you and Beyonce to be pretty much set on $2 billion, it's frightening whenever somebody puts a camera in your face. See, y'all notice something. Y'all ever see 50 on camera? Look how 50 flows on camera. I'm not a 50 Cent fan. When G-Unit was out, I was about Cameron and Dipset. But look how 50 Cent flows. I'm not going to say the man's completely unflappable, but look at it flow. But then look at Jay. Look at Jay on all the different interviews. Right? For someone who's been making big money for damn near 3 decades, you would have thought he would have had someone walk him through PR, or like how to work public relations, how to work the camera, and how to work interviews. Bro, that's frightening. Man, let me keep on. What's going on, AB? Let me try to start from the highest comment I could get. Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. What's going on, Toya? I see Toya was in here. Spain man, what's going on? Right, D Scott, what's going on? Jamil, what's up, bro? Jamil said, laughing my ass off. Same old. I was hyper capitalist and made millions from literally selling drug culture and alcohol. But if you say it to me, you're a hater. I mean, so the question that I have for the panel, I said the panel, sorry y'all, for the chat. Where's the line between an honest critique of a fellow black person who just happens to be wealthy, whether they worked hard for it or they were born into it, which once again, we don't have black wealth like that. So probably worked hard for it mainly through talent, but sometimes through ingenuity and knowledge, and maybe you're Robert Smith, or maybe you're Neil deGrasse Tyson. Where's the line between hater and a poorer person, or maybe even a full-on black poor person, a working class person, giving you something to munch on, giving you something to think about or consider, right? Is everyone that brings something to your attention to say, hey, bro, I know I'm a nobody, right? We're assuming you can even get anywhere close to these people. So there's a lot of assumptions going on here. But let's say you could. Where's the line between this person being a full-on hater of your wealth and being jealous or something like that, and them saying, hey, have you ever considered this? Or I don't think you've thought about this. Consider this. Maybe that's why these people are sounding the way they are. Maybe you got legit haters. We're not saying you don't have legit haters that's trying to undermine you through calling you a capitalist, Jay. But have you ever considered some of the things that some of these regular folks now are dealing with, right? How you were able to move the way you were in the 80s because there were no cell phone cameras, and the CCTV wasn't a thing yet like that, right? And there weren't, traffic cameras. Have you ever considered that, right? Have you ever considered these things? That's my question to the chat. Because I know it's a fine line, but where would you say the line is between being a hater and speaking to someone who's leagues and bounds ahead of you in wealth and just giving them something to consider, right? Now let's keep on going. Spainman said, wasn't it outed that he had investments in private prisons? I heard that. Yes, I did hear that. I don't know how true it is still, but yes. Why Skinner Man? What's going on? Rogus, what's up, bro? His ace of spades was and still is cheap champagne with a high price tag. I wonder who buys those overpriced champagne bottles. Def not white folks. True. I mean, and there's something to be said. Rael said something once, and he's actually kind of right, which is some of these uber wealthy black people, when they get burned, that's when they want to start talking about race, right? And I'm not saying Jay-Z has definitely brought up race throughout his albums. I'm not gonna say he hasn't, but there is something. Because remember the whole Cristal campaign that he was on, anti-Cristal campaign, right? So it's interesting to see that, right? Kanye goes from George W. Bush doesn't care about black people to an interview where he says, it's not about race anymore, it's about class, right? I mean, but then around the same time, he's saying to Sway, this is how we get the how Sway thing, that essentially the white European fashion designers are locking him out of being a big name like them. Which one is it, Kanye? Right? So, Rod does have a point with that. Which one is it? Which one? That's something I want to ask uber wealthy black people sometimes. Does race matter, or doesn't it? Or does it only matter when race blocks you from making that next step into another million, 10, 20, 30, 40, $100 million? That's when race matters. Because a lot of y'all sell the same thing white racist society sells us about upward mobility until they block your upward mobility, even though you're still wealthy. And then you want to bring up race. Right now, Mr. Z is doing the shrugging emoji thing. Right? Which one is it? Right? Rogas said, so basically he's signaling out a specific classism within his position of the 1%. So what he considered himself a soft 1%er. Rogish, I think you onto something, player. I think Rogish is onto, okay, so that's where I was going when I'm like, we're not gonna put him in the same category as Jeff Bezos when it comes to exploitation and when having people pee in bottles and moving traffic lights around and all this other stuff and crushing unions and firing people. Jay's not there with it. So if we were gonna make a distinction, I didn't say difference, but a distinction, then I would say Air quotes, yes, soft one percenter. That's really good, Rogus. Y'all give Rogus his flowers. Yeah, that's actually yes, Rogus. That's actually a really good one right there. What's going on, Indigo Flow? Jamil said this is a wolf calling himself a furry chicken. Yeah, 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 man. Yeah. I, man, this, I'm reading through you guys' comments. Rogan said, quite the convenient ignorance. But this is also a sign of the times, showing that whoever the new method to play the game has no standards or integrity whatsoever. It's all about saving face. Yes, man. Yes. Yes. But that kind of speaks to what BGS was saying, where he knows what he is. I'm a little bit more skeptical, right? I've been playing with the thought of how many of us are that self-aware, right? I would tend to agree with BGS, right? That he does know who he is, but I don't know, right? Because the way he sounded here, it's kind of like he was hurt, right? Oh my God, they're calling me a capitalist. Bro, you are. Own it. You are. And like you like y'all know Mr. Z be all about the black shit, like blackity 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 black. But it's mainly black people calling you a capitalist and a pejorative, bro. And you made it seem like it was white people. He didn't say it. Once again, I want to be fair to Jay-Z. He did not say it was white people calling him a capitalist, but the framing was as if it was white people. No, it's mainly black people on social media calling you a capitalist in a negative way. Right? Now, I would tell those people a lot of their energy is misplaced. If we're gonna go after people that exploit and sweatshops and all this other stuff, I wouldn't go after Jay first. Like, Jay is all the way in the back, all the way at the end of the game. You don't go after Jay first. What Jay-Z has done, some of the shiesty shit that he's maybe done, is super soft compared to, oh my, it's not even close. Y'all ain't going after Zara and H&M and them warehouses that burning down in India, killing how many people. Y'all not doing none of that. Y'all going after Jay-Z. So I agree with Jay on that. But where I disagree is stop trying to frame it like it's white people. And once again, stop using Fred Hampton's name in vain. Stop it. Right? Let's keep on going. Yeah. Joe Black, what's going on? Joe Black says, Spain man, funny part about it, he was still a capitalist as a street hustler. True. He was just capitalizing on the addictiveness of the drugs he sold and fast money of being a rapper. I mean, Joe Black's right, and that goes back to exactly what BGS was saying. So yes, Joe Black, you are right. You are right, sir. Oh, Grinch covered this too. You said I listened to a bit of Grinch earlier and got it thinking of how it seems like every successful person screwed someone over in the process. Amoral people. Okay, for those of you that remember Mr. Z saying it like damn near every chance I got a couple years ago about how amoral the system is. Okay, it's an amoral system, cool. And these people are amoral. They are. Some of us not so much. Some of us are straight up immoral, not even amoral, but immoral. And I mean, yes, yes, there are people like Jay. I'm not saying Jay-Z in specific on this one, but people like Jay that are amoral as hell. And some of them are uber wealthy. Some of them are normal people. Some of them are your friends, your family, your cousins, you, right? But yeah, the system is amoral. I don't even know, is there a moral system? Let me say that slower, because amoral, immoral, moral. Is there a system that's moral? There we go. That's how I should have phrased it before, right? Didn't Cam say Jay bit a grip of Biggie's verses? Oh yeah, I listened to that Cameron diss song. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just listened to it again maybe 2 months ago, right? And yeah, no, he didn't just say it. To answer Jamil, he didn't just say it. He played on the, I think the song's like 7 minutes long or whatever. So many times Jay bit from not only Biggie, but everybody from Juvenile to just straight up bit a whole verse, a couple of words, the framing, the structure. I mean, is it paying homage or is it just straight biting? That's another question for y'all, right? Jordan, how do you pronounce that second name? Zavi? Is that X, like, does it play as a Z? Do I pronounce it like that? Okay, I'm gonna just say it. But Jordan said, Mr. Z, did you mention how he also was trying to push Bitcoin on the residents at Marcy Projects? I've heard about that. I don't know enough, right? I don't know enough. But there's a lot of people pushing cryptocurrencies on people that don't know enough, bro. And I get some of the ideas of cryptocurrency being liberating and the black people wanting to feel that. A lot of people are playing on our insecurities, right? Both on the left, on the right. Capitalists, socialists are playing on black people, the entire population, honestly, but specifically black people's insecurities, right? When it comes to wealth, when it comes to stability. And I see that with a lot of people, Boyce Watkins, that push cryptocurrency, and you know your people don't have the time, they're not knowledgeable, but you just like want to get them to invest $150, $500, and then like I guess somebody's gonna do the work for them. I don't really know how this is gonna go, right? What's Obama's boy's name? Oh my God, y'all know who I'm talking about, the actor. Oh, damn it, yeah, him. He got caught pushing I can't remember if it was Bitcoin or BitConnect or one of those also. Damn, I forgot the brother's name, but yeah, anyway, him too. The one now, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's yeah. Harold George feels like Jay knows enough to know he's firmly in that class. Oh yeah, I read that already. Yeah, I read that already. Black Chain. Part of the game is to let a few get to the top. It helps to solidify the fake narrative. Okay, so that's another. Oh, thank you very, very much for that, because I almost forgot to mention this too. Jay made it seem like black people are making money now. Don't we have the article that came out a few years ago about by 2053, black people's wealth is going to be zero on average? And that was before COVID, y'all. So that shit probably expedited the process by like 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe this shit's tomorrow now, right? And Jay is making it seem, let's slow down, because I missed a lot. Jay-Z is making it seem like white racist people are trying to switch the game of capitalism because too many black people are now becoming rich and wealthy. I'm going to shut up for like 15 seconds and let y'all think about what the hell I just said. So I lied. I'm not going to wait 15 seconds. Jay-Z, and that speaks to being in that bubble, right? You think because you and Rihanna and Kanye and then Beyonce and Solange and Miss Tina Knowles and their dad, you think because y'all got some money and because you rubbing elbows obviously with former President Barack Obama and Diddy and Dr. Dre and Rick Ross and Jeezy, right? You think black people got money now? Do you understand how rare y'all are? Forget 1%, like 0.1. Like, do you understand how rare y'all are? So now you think because y'all got some money, black people got some money? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. This is like frightening. Like, what? Trell said, Hove always came across to me like the Bishop character in Juice. Like, bro, once again, I don't want to rip Jay-Z apart, right? I can't, first of all, I can't. Who am I? Who am I? Right? Number one. Number two, like I said, I don't like to be overly critical of black people for doing what the system kind of constructs, and then they they're playing their role in the system. And what Jay-Z has done is he's done some messed up shit, but it's not super extremely egregious. So I'm this is not about really ripping him to shreds. It is about critiquing some of the things he said in the past, right? And like his ignorance on the matter, right? That's what it's really about for me. Because I'm getting way behind on the comments, so let me scroll down and see. Oh man, I missed a bunch. Jamil said, name the suburb with all black folks. Over there by BGS, Baldwin Hills, maybe. Maybe over there in Atlanta, on the outskirts. I heard something. What's it? Not Rocky Mountains. Was it Stone Mountain? Maybe, but that's still not all black people, right? So, not too far from Charles and Baltimore. I know there's a couple of nice neighborhoods where there's a significant amount of black people because they work for the government. So they over there about not too far from that Charles and DC Codebreaker DC, kind of in that general-ish area where they live between DC, Maryland, Virginia, Baltimore-ish area. Maybe the couple of blocks in New York, right? Outside of that, Jamil, maybe there's a couple of blocks in Texas. Oh, PG County, yes. Thank you, Aquateki. Outside of that, I know there's a couple of blocks in Texas where there's some black people with some money. Maybe a couple of blocks, like I said, Baldwin Hills, a couple of blocks in LA, maybe one or two in the Bay Area, a few blocks in New York, in the different boroughs, a few blocks in different boroughs in New York. Down here in South Florida, I'm trying to think. Not really. Down here in South Florida, we don't have we have black people with money, but like neighborhood of black people? No, not really. Maybe yeah, that's about it. I can't really think of anything. I mean, yeah. Past the $40. Irv, that was a genius statement. Black people are making money now, I believe. Yeah, that's it. I read it wrong. That's why I said you was a genius comment, but I'm going to still give you your props. Because I thought you said black people are marketing money now. Which would explain, because if you would have said that, but you didn't, I'm going to still give you your flowers. That would be black people being the mascot for America now, right? Of upward mobility. Meanwhile, we all know that all the not just the sociologists, it's not just the sociologists. There's another group of like social scientists that are pretty much saying, yeah, upward mobility in America has gone to crap. You have more upward mobility in Britain with a literal monarchy than you do in America. Let me say that again. You have more upward mobility in Britain, which is a literal monarchy, right? Now we know it's not the same monarchy from like 400 years ago, but still, than you do in America. I'm not joking. Right? Charles Irby said DeSoto, Texas, PG County, only 2 places I know. Right? Like, exactly. And that speaks to what Jamil is saying. Where's the black neighborhoods with all the money? Right? I'm just like, this is crazy, y'all. And like, that's why I'm not beating up on Jay. I don't think Jay-Z's that ignorant, but I have to tell myself that right now so that I could continue to maintain my discipline of what I said to you guys earlier, where I won't try to rip him to shreds. I have to tell myself some of this is coming from a place of ignorance. Because if it's full on, muhaha, I got sent to do damage control because even black kids are talking about this anti-capitalist stuff now, then we're dealing with a whole different ball game now, right? Because we got to be honest about how many young people jumped on the Bernie Sanders train. And even in the beginning, before we realized how cringeworthy AOC was, jumped on the AOC train. Because they're like social democrats. We ain't going to call them full-on socialists. Meh. Right? Because, and I think that's what a lot of people miss outside of millennials and Gen Z, for some of the Xers and boomers, not all, obviously people like BGS and Black Uru didn't get it, but for some of the Xers and some of the boomers, what they miss is the reason why your kids sound like borderline communists. They're not communists, by the way, but definitely hard stomp down socialists. Whether they really are or not is just rhetoric, is a different question. But the reason why they at least sound like this is because you got to think about all the things that they did that they were told to do, and then it didn't work out, right? You got to think about as they came of age, all the things that hit them upside the head and threw them off course, right? Hill Harper, yes, Troll Bentley, that's the brother I was talking about that I said Obama's boy that was also pushing freaking cryptocurrencies. And like, bro, why did because I kept on thinking about The Hill. And I was like, I can't remember his last name. I know it's Hill, but I can't. Yes, Hill Harper. Thank you, Terrell Bentley. But yeah, right. Low-key, I kind of believe it too. Pastor said, I think that's true. If too many black people become wealthy, the game will change. True. What's the brother that used to work for TMZ's name again? Because I watched a little clip of him and the sister that married that white dude from The Bachelorette, the black sister that married the white dude from The Bachelorette. I guess they have like their own show thing going on. And I watched it. And both of them had some both of them, they're benefiting out of capitalism. Let's call a thing. But both of them did say some really nice stuff. Especially the brother was saying, essentially Jay misses the fact that the system needs, and excuse my language, the system needs a nigger. And like capitalism helped to bring about the position black people found themselves in during that whole period of slavery, right? And then a little bit more in Jim Crow, because the system needed a nigger, right? But I mean, did Barack talk to Jay-Z about that? No. Does Beyonce talk to Jay-Z about that? Hell no. I mean, if I'm Jay-Z, what can anyone tell me? And I think that's like one of the blind spots when it comes to like being that wealthy. No one can tell you. Who can talk to you? That's a real question for everyone. When you're that wealthy, who can talk to you? Wow, y'all, we got FD Signifier in here. I didn't actually think you were a subscriber, so you subscribe to me, player. All right, thanks. Got some subscription from a nigga with like 350,000 subscribers. I guess I'll read your comment. FD Signifier says the youth are rejecting the system. FD's okay, FD. Yes and no, because I think a lot of these Negroes, and we've had this conversation in the spaces, they are rhetorically, but how much of this is like a temper tantrum, and how much of this is like, nigga, if this shit start burning, some of y'all are gonna miss y'all hot water and your internet and your all the things that the system has created. This yes, exploitation, yes, murder and slaughter, yes, stealing other people's oil and resources, right? Yes, murking revolutionary leaders both in America and abroad. But how much of, if the system was to get a big hit, like look how people were acting during COVID. Look at people with toilet paper. So yeah, you're right, FD. Kind of, right? Charles said, read my comment to his statement. What did you say? Rejecting the same system that made them spoiled brats. So it pretty much was what I was saying, Charles. Yes, especially compared to every other young people around the world. I wish people would actually travel instead of making such profane statements. I kind of agree with Charles on that. I'm Haitian descent, FD, if you don't know. I've been to Haiti. bruh, right? So you're right, FD, but Charles and me are also right, right? So yes, they're pushing back on the system, and I think some of them are legitimate about it, and they've even considered what it would look like in the midst of the chaos, and they're still pushing through. That's a really small handful. But I think others of them think they mean what they say, but if the shit hit the fan, they would like revert back to like, oh my God, like the roads and the trash on the roads and there's nobody to pick up the trash, and oh my God, the lights aren't working at the intersection, and oh my God, my internet, and right? So yeah, I mean, some people really, really mean it. Other people just talking just to be talking, right? That's what I'll say to that, right? But yeah, man, yeah, this Jay-Z, I think this is gonna, I'm not gonna be able to do it tomorrow. I got errands to run. I gotta keep. I'm sorry, y'all, for me continuously pushing on the class conversation, because I'm acquiring more knowledge. I'm watching more stuff. I'm reading more stuff, and what Jay-Z recently said, I think, is another something to talk about going to this, right? Because Jay-Z and Beyonce are still black people, but their class position now that Jay is actively protecting, right? Rhetorically, at least. Maybe even with actions. I don't even want to go to what that looks like. But it speaks to kind of what BGS has spoken about, what Rael has spoken about, what Black Uru has spoken about class within the black community, right? And how on the outside looking in, if you don't know and you're a non-black person, you practice flat blackness where everybody's black. So everybody in the black community is left-leaning, and everybody in the black community is revolutionary, and everybody in the black community want to see the system fail, and everybody in the black community is like, and I think, I'm sorry, you guys, I got to bring up his name. I think some of us learned better with the presidency of Barack Obama. Oops. Yeah. And with the vice presidency of Kamala Harris. Yep, I went there. Yeah, I did. Right? Some of you know better with the rise of Candace Owens. That some of us really ain't about changing not a nothing. We just trying to climb up this current ladder. And I'm not even talking about tearing this down. I'm not going there. Some of us are not trying to change anything within the system. Some of us are not trying to tear it down. And some of us are going so far as to keep on perpetuating the system with all of its deficiencies that we know, just so long as we can climb up as high as possible within that corrupt system that we acknowledge is corrupt. But we're like, yeah, screw all you other Negroes. I'm just trying to get as high as humanly possible. And if that means that I got to defecate on y'all and bring y'all in for some verbal lashings every once in a while, so be it. The question for tonight is Jay-Z one of those people? That's the question. Is Jay-Z one of those people now, or has he always been that? But is Jay-Z one of those people that's pretty much said, screw you Negroes, I'm going to drop a couple of crumbs every once in a while, I'll bail somebody out, I'll help out whoever I deem fit, but for the most part, screw y'all, get your money up? It's a real question for everyone. It's a real question, right? Yeah, so it's yeah. Black wealth and power. I love this class convo. Gotta get Rael to debate. You know what? I'm okay with debating Rael on this. I'm that would be a really good and interesting conversation. I could have the conversation without ad hominems and all the other stuff, and without being passive aggressive or whatever. FD says, once upon a time you could be a more left leaning in your youth, but get more conservative as you get older and got money. True, but there ain't gonna be money to get for this generation. Yeah, me and Charles done see no, you see what's interesting about black people and black men in particular? We like agree and then disagree and then agree and then disagree, because me and Charles have pretty much said the same thing, FD. Like on one of Charles' streams, he literally went through how inflation is like killing the wealth of like millennials and Gen Z. And he really went through like how much his dad paid for their house back in the day compared to how much a house is worth now, and like how much more Charles made than his father, and like how it pretty much means nothing. All right. So like, yeah, no, we agree with you. We agree with you. We agree with you on that. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely agree with you on that. Let me read Charles' comment to you. FD signifies the issue truly lies in the forced mediocrity of the boys in the community. When the boys rise and fall, so does the community after them. Yeah, that too. I mean, FD said the ladder is broken. Yes. I mean, didn't the Brookings Institute show like even because they tried to make it seem like rich black boys, and then they realized black people don't really got that money to be calling us rich like that. So upper middle class boys that are black boys, let me say it the right way. Black boys born into the upper middle class, 70% of them drop down to like working class, right? That's a different conversation because all of us are working class if you work. Different conversation, but y'all know what I mean, right? Yeah, so 70% of them drop down, where the girls, for the most part, black girls, stay steady with their white female counterparts. So that kind of speaks to what Charles is saying a little bit, kind of tiny bit, FD. You know, kind of a little bit, yes. You know, so yeah, and this is something that I was actually, I don't know if you listened to my other streams, FD, as a response to your stream about black boys, but that's what I was speaking to also, which is like your class position, you and your wife's class position, and what you're probably going to be able to, the position that your sons are going to be raised in because of that is going to insulate them from a lot of what we talk about in this space when it comes to relationships and women and all these other things, right? That doesn't mean they're completely safe from some of the craziness going on out here in the dating world. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there's certain class position because of you is going to change things. And like, and you see the disparity when it comes to income in marriage, right? Like who's getting married and staying married. And like, we can even talk about, and well, that's a police flying. All right, yo, I'm sorry. Something's happening around me. But we can even bring that up to Jay-Z and Beyonce. Look how long they've been married. And like, you know, Beyonce, I've said this multiple times, like, where Beyonce going if Jay-Z cheat again? At least if it's not public. Where's she going? Yeah, she's uber wealthy and she could do it all by herself. But where you going? Who you gonna end up with? Diddy? Dr. Dre? One of those Arab billionaires? One of the white billionaires? Meh. You can't be with Mark Houston anymore. You got way more money than him. I'm just saying. Right? But I don't want to kind of deviate too much in the relationship talk. We're talking about something else. But, you know, I just wanted to bring like the class element of all of this, the wealth element of all of this, the income element of all of this. It does allow some of us to be safer from some of the chaos going on, even in the dating and marriage world. Like I said earlier, look at who, not only who's getting married, but who's staying married, and you can track that on income, right? That doesn't mean that there's not rich and wealthy people that don't get divorced. That's not what Mr. Z is saying. But if you see who, for those of, first of all, you got to get married. Most poor people aren't getting married anymore. AEI, yes, this is conservative think tank, but AEI, American Enterprise Institute, did the study. And I'm only going to do this for like the next 2 minutes because I want to get back to the Jay-Z stuff so I can close out. But AEI did the study where it said 26% of poor Americans are married, 39% of like middle class, and like 56% of upper middle class and above. Like I said before, that's money and status. And then if you think about who files for divorce, mainly women, like what, by 70, 80%. So yeah, FD, when I say the things I say, I know I sound like a misogynist, sexist person, but like, just think about it for a second and then maybe it'll make a little bit of sense. But okay, now we're back to the Jay-Z thing. I don't want to get too far into that. But Jay has shown us that he doesn't have those people around him. And there's a lot of wealthy people, I would argue, rich and wealthy and famous people in the black community. I'm specifically talking about the black community that don't have those people around them. Because we're going to come off as naysayers. We're going to come off as Debbie Downers. And quite frankly, and we even have that in this space. I mean, me and one of the other brothers, shout out to Art Nostal, we say that also. Like, we don't get off telling y'all depressing shit. We don't get off on this. But nobody else is talking about this half the times, right? Like, nobody. Some of us in the black manosphere, and then who else? Right? A lot of this shit is like, it's not full on pull yourself up by your bootstrap, but kind of. I call it toxic positivity. A bunch of other people I've heard also say it. It's like toxic positivity. So, and I think much of hip hop is that. Oops, I wasn't supposed to say that. And I'm saying that while I was listening to Jeezy earlier at work. So Mr. Z is also human and a whole ass hypocrite. I was listening to Jeezy at work earlier. Right? I was listening to Air Forces. And for those of you that know the Jeezy song Air Forces, he talks about going from an old school Chevy to a drop top Porsche. Yeah, that's a whole capitalist theme song right there. I can be honest about this. Right? I can be honest. I'm a fan of Cameron, y'all. Mr. Pink himself. Mr. Pink Range Rover. Right? We're gonna be honest, right? I like New York rap, and them niggas the most capitalist of capitalists, right? Y'all can say what y'all want about Cash Money. Nigga, if we put all the Cash Money songs against what, name the New York rapper. Name Jay-Z, right? All the Cash Money versus Jay-Z himself. Who's more capitalist? I'm just saying. Or who has the better capitalist themes? I mean, we do got Bling Bling from BG. We do have yeah, we got some capitalist themes, but ain't shit fucking with Jay-Z, bro. You know? Spain Man said, I've long complained that hip hop videos turned into product commercials at one point. Absolutely, positively correct. Absolutely correct. We literally went through an era of people, and we kind of, I mean, people don't really do it anymore, but like literally people were getting Louis Vuitton like stitched seats in their Escalade. Didn't Nelly have something like that at one point? I know we had one down, there was a couple Escalades down here in South Florida that did the whole Louis V thing as their theme, right? So let's not pretend like that's not a thing. We have to be honest. And so Jay-Z helped to create that, right? That's why I found it interesting when Northeastern, mainly New York niggas were railing against Cash Money's like hyper consumerist type of imagery. I'm like, I know you New York niggas ain't talking. I know, nigga, y'all had Diddy out here with shiny suits. I know y'all not talking, right? We be dipping in the bins with the spoilers. I know y'all ain't talking. Y'all got whole music videos with Diddy and Big and on boats running from the cops, and I think that was down here in Miami. But, right? Jeez, what Charles said. The issue is this: we talk about the issue with capitalism, but especially with black men, where to hell to those middle class or higher European standards, even if we were in the hood. Yeah. Let me reread that because I want to make sure I get that right. I'm gonna read it to myself. Wait a minute. Oh, you mean the issue is that we talk about this issue with capitalism, but especially with black men where you anyway, I won't even put you on blast right there, Charles. You threw me off with the where, how you spelt the where. I've done it too, so yeah. Where the middle class, higher European state. I mean, yeah, we talked about that too. To hell with the middle class, high fashion, rich white and upper middle class white standards. And like, that's not a thing for like any group of men on the planet. There's a reason why we call them upper middle class. If that becomes the standard, rich and upper middle class, then we're all screwed. The men screwed initially, the women screwed later, because they're the ones who screwed themselves by putting the bar up that high, right? Charles said, what's the difference between misogyny and observable plain truth? That's a good question, sir. Right? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, because this is definitely getting demonetized. I'm talking about capitalism and Jay-Z. Jay, nigga, I know you be sending niggas at people. I'm a nobody. I'm just saying. Bro. You might want to consider what you're saying. And please, Jay-Z, go. I know you think you could do it by yourself, because you go see like a public relations person or like somebody that help you practice on interviews, because nigga, you suck. Like I said, like, look how 50 flows on interviews. I'm not even a 50 Cent fan. Look at the charisma. We done seen so many people on interviews. Look how they flow. Jay don't flow. Bro, you're flow master. How do you not flow on interviews? When we first received any... Oh, this is Roga's son, you guys. When we first received any access, it arrives through a cultural filter as opposed to a class filter. The class filter is there, but it isn't first. Rogas be dropping gems, y'all. True. I mean, look, like I said, y'all know Mr. Z just bought his third 300ZX. I can't rail against this shit all the way. Mr. Z, I told y'all at one point I was a dandy. I can't rail against this all the way. I'm calling out my own hypocrisy. I like AC, okay? I know that some of the things that bring me AC is exploitative, right? Exploitative, excuse me, you guys, right? I understand that, right? I get it. If anyone gets it, I get it, right? At the same time, though, that doesn't mean I can't critique the shit, right? I understand the premium gas I gotta put in the Z where it comes from, or at least some of the means, right? The ends, or what is it? The ends justify the means. Some of the things that America has done to bring me my premium gas to put in my car, right? I get it. It's a Japanese car. Some of the things that were done for Japan to open, right, to bring me my car, right? Why did Japan bomb Pearl Harbor in the first place? That's a whole different conversation. You see what I'm saying? So I get it. But still, Jay speaking the way he does, like I said, it was not even that he defended his position. He didn't even defend his position. He just pretty much tried to shame us for calling him a capitalist. And he's a capitalist. Right? That's all I'm saying. You know? What he said? What's the difference between... Oh, no, I read that already, Charles. Yeah. So, yeah, you guys. Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I'm about to end it out. Look. This was me just saying, Jay, consider these things. Please. Please and thank you. Right? Let me read Charles' last comment. Everyone is okay with America doing whatever it does to get them their luxury items. People will still sleep peacefully in their beds while rough men are doing violence on their behalf. Few good men, sir. Don't be remixing a few good men line, bro. I know the few good men line when I see it, Charles. I'm fucking with Charles. You can't handle the truth. Right? Did I say the right movie title, everyone? Yes, no, maybe so. I did watch it, but I don't remember if that was the right movie title. I think so. But yeah. So once again, this wasn't about going at Jay-Z or ripping him apart. It really is about Jay. You know, it really is. Jay, bro, go find someone to help you with interviews, bro. Number one. Number two, do you even know your position? Number three, if you do know your position, you do a horrible job at defending it on interviews. And number four, we really have to consider black people are not a monolith, but there are certain things that the majority of us agree on. And for the majority of us, we have to ask ourselves, what's the purpose of people like Jay-Z? Right? Outside of the entertainment realm, what's the purpose of Jay? Jay has looked out for normal people that got arrested in Ferguson? Yes. He's looked out for other black artists? Yes. Right? He's a cultural icon? Yes. But when Jay speaks like this, and when Jay speaks the way he did about Kaepernick, is he playing a different type of role that might hinder black progress for the masses of us, right? Not for his little circle of uber wealthy black people, but for the masses of us. And I'll leave y'all with that question. That's something to think about, not just about Jay-Z, but about a lot of black people, both politically, not both politicians, entertainers. What purpose do they serve? And are they serving black people? Is it even their job to? And if they're not, then what purpose do they serve? So I'll pause right there. Once again, like, share, subscribe. And y'all go ahead and consider all of that. Mr. Z out. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Love and peace to everyone. Thank you, FD, for coming through. Charles, everybody else. Jamil, thank you, brother. Everyone, Trell Bentley, Toya, everyone, Rogish dropped some gems, y'all. BGS came through, you know, everyone that came through. Spain, man. Goddamn. Now that I'm listing people, then you know when you like, damn, I'm going to miss people. Whoever I missed, y'all know it's not on purpose, right? Y'all know. I'll probably catch y'all around the next time. Catch your names the next time. But thank you, everyone, for being here. K-Cut, I see you, right? Lion 917, I see you. But thank you, everybody, for joining in. Black Chain. But yeah, so like I said, let me read Rogish's comment because he's been dropping gems, and then I'm out, you guys. Rogish said, at the moment, that's his integrity can be compromised through the political intent of those outside of our culture framework. It's all about the skin color and him being the mascot. His duct tapers. I don't know how you pronounce needed, but duct tapers. Okay, I get what you're saying. But that goes to what I was saying, Rogish. Like, yeah, like, oh, okay, so that means that black wealthy people are pretty much the mascot for America, so America could say it's not racist and it's still upwardly mobile. By the way, when I say upwardly mobile, I'm not just only talking about black people. Like, the studies that show like pretty much upward mobility in America went to shit, it's not, they weren't just talking about black people, right? So yeah, when I said that, I wasn't just talking about black people. So Rogish is right. Like, that's what I said earlier. Yeah, and if Jay-Z is playing that role knowingly, we have a whole different conversation on our hands, right? So yeah, bro. Yeah, I agree with you, Rogish. So I'm out, you guys. I'll pause right there. Thanks everyone for joining me, joining Mr. Z, and I'll holla at y'all later. Mr. Z out.